My name's Cody Groom. I spend my time showing you guys amazing cars and the stories behind them.
Damn!
It's about the people, places, and of course, cars. Welcome to The Build. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Build. My name's Cody Groom. Today we have Gabe and his F80. Now the F80 is one of those cars to me that's really stood out over the years. It's just so clean and aggressive straight from the factory. It's a wide car, it's got fender flare stock, and it just looks pretty damn good. You could put a set of wheels, maybe lower it a little bit, and you got a solid car. Now with Gabe's, he's really taking the extra step to take it to be a track-focused build. Now that being said, he's got a lot of suspension work done. It's fully gutted in the inside, and to be honest, there's a lot more to come in the car. So maybe we'll do a second feature later on. But anyways, enough of me talking. Let's check out Gabe's car.
Hey, I don't know, make it a one, I don't know, yeah, I don't know. Why they hate on me? Broke, I knew one thing, success is
So, I mean, I've always liked racing since I was a kid, but it was mostly like off-roading, dirt bikes. Not really, I never was really into NASCAR or anything like that. Never really into car racing at all. But I remember the moment that I kind of just fell in love with just being a dumbass with the car was when I turned off the traction control button on that E46 and just ripped a fat donut. And then that was pretty much it. After that, I was kind of hooked with driving cars. I had an E92 M3, before that 335, and then before that was my first BMW, which was a E46 330i, and kind of just randomly stumbled into the BMW game. Never owned a Beamer, I only owned a Toyota 4Runner. I was only into off-road and out to the desert with my buddies and my family. So it was a definite change of scenery going to the E46, but that was a really fun car actually. That kind of opened me up to what BMW was. After owning non-M's, you kind of want the big boy, which is the M3, and then that's how I ended up with that E92.
I think there's a lot of controversy about the sound of the engine versus the predecessor, the E92. The F80 is a superior car, just in power. You can tell that BMW did a good job of making a better car than the E92. I'm only bringing up this comparison because I know tons of people are gonna throw out there, well, it doesn't sound as good as a V8.
So originally bought the F80 after owning an E92. Basically had driven an F80, just randomly shown up to the dealership with a friend, and the power difference was crazy compared to the E92. So idea behind it was, honestly, I spun the crank hub on this car in 2018, shortly after I got it basically, and it had been sitting in the shop for a year. I was waiting on an extended warranty to come through, which didn't come through at all. But while I was waiting for this car to get back on the road, I ended up picking up an E36 M3, which I feel is the most underrated M car out there. And my buddy Augie was the one who really got me into building that car up into a track car. So as I'm building up this car, waiting for this to come back, I basically made that a full-blown, just badass track car. And once I got this back, it was kind of like feeling of this isn't enough. And that's how I ended up where I'm at now with basically a full-blown track car again. Okay, so the wheels that I'm running off for the street setup are the HRA 300 Classics. It's a 3-piece wheel, 19 by 9.5 in the front and a 19 by 11 in the rear. It's running a 265 up front and a 305 in the rear. It's kind of a little understeery, and especially like when I was driving up this road, you can kind of get a sense of understeer compared to my track setup. My track setup is Apex SM10s. 18 by 10 in the front, 18 by 11 in the rear, running a 285 in the front and a 305 in the rear. So the extra 20 millimeters of tread pattern it makes a big difference. I'm running a Motorsport stud kit. It's really easy to pop on and off the wheels. It's on some ground control camber plates that kind of helps with that 285 to make sure it gets a proper camber to clear underneath the fender liner. V3 KWs. Basically anything touching the front spindle and the rear spindle is all SPL, spherical, solid. It's basically built for performance.
I was talking to Gabe a little bit off camera, and there's definitely a lot of passion that's gone into this build. Gabe has a lot of life experiences that has led him to putting time and energy into this car because it's a point of therapy for him. It's a point of therapeutic release, and you can see that he loves it. And that's one thing I love about meeting people and seeing these cars, just the simple fact that people love it. At the end of the day, like, it's so cool to see someone take a machine, whatever you want to call this thing that a lot of people used to get from point A to B, and they use it to clear their mind, to have a good time, to really take them away from the real world.
All right, so we got Sparco QRT-Rs. They're their performance line of seat right now. And then we have the Sabelt 6-point harness. I went with the Sabelt because it's iconic. You know, you ever see F1, you see the Ferrari drivers, they always have the Sabelt harnesses over the shoulders. So that's why I went with Sabelt over any other brand. I have a fully wrapped Alcantara steering wheel. We got the Studio RSR cage. Eventually, we're gonna go with a full Weldon cage, which are gonna go ahead and basically showcase what their capabilities are. It'll be a full 6-point, welded in, full-blown. At that point, it'll be full-blown track car, so eventually I'll have to end up removing all the door cards with all the speakers and get rid of the sound system altogether. It's pretty much gutted. You can see, if you look up here, you'll be able to see the raw carbon fiber roof from the bottom. Carpet's been removed, all the sound deadening's been removed, the trunk liner, everything. So pretty much, car is extremely loud from the inside. You hear everything. You hear rocks hit, you hear the diff whine, you hear the exhaust whenever you shift a gear because it's the dual clutch. You hear that like popping noise it makes sometimes. The wastegates, when they let off, it's extremely loud inside. So we're running a boot mod custom tune, making about 600 horsepower and 600 pound-feet of torque. Pretty soon here I'll have a race gas tune for the tracks. That'll just kind of smoothen up the power band, because with these S55 motors, they're really spiky on the torque. So exiting a turn, you definitely don't want that spike to occur and lose that back end. Having a smoother power band is a lot better for that. I'm running InGen intakes, VRSF downpipes, VRSF charge pipes, active auto work, single mid pipe, and then the Remus exhaust. Sounds pretty good, but then again, it is pretty expensive to make these things sound decent at least.
Once I got in the car and started riding in the car, I could really tell that this thing, number one, had a lot of power. It definitely doesn't feel like a stock F80. It was putting the power down quickly. I mean, the torque was definitely very spiky, like it was definitely on or off, but the car just ripped around the corners. Like, when I was shooting these scenes, like, I was literally, I after that had motion sickness because we were just mobbing through the canyons, and you could just, the car was planted, we weren't having body roll, but trying to film in a racing seat while we're going through this, and I'm trying to stay smooth, try not to shake the camera much, it was definitely difficult.
So favorite part about the car is definitely whenever you drive it, it's just so loud and raw inside.
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that build episode. If you did, hit that like button. If you have an opinion about the car, you got something to say, leave a comment below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.